Arising from the consultations and concurrences today, I wish to inform the country that in consultation with the Ministry of Health and in conformity with COVID-19 mitigation measures, the stakeholders set up the minimum reopening of pre-primary, primary, and secondary institutions as follows. 1, reducing physical contact in learning institutions by having fewer learners will have great impact in reducing COVID-19 cases and fatalities associated with the opening of the institutions. 2, schools should only reopen when the daily percentage of confirmed COVID-19 cases have reduced consistently for at least 14 days, which we call in medical terms flattening of the curve, which has just been referred to by the physician who is in charge of this process. C, social and physical distancing is actually the most critical factor in ensuring safety and health of our learners for the reopening of the learning institutions. And I would like to add that His Excellency the President took the children to school through the 100% transition. And to most people, they think 100% transition means you take the people who have passed the exam. But what we actually did is we went to the people and took the children who are not in school to the various places that they should have gone. If you are supposed to be in Form 3, you went to Form 3. If you are supposed to be in Standard 7, you went to Standard 7. So we have the children at school. Hand washing with soap and or use of sanitizers, wearing of masks properly, and monitoring of body temperature. Here again, it's important to remember that you use the gun, not something that will be touching the body like in the past. So we shall be using the gun to ensure safety of learners. The total number of COVID-19 cases in Kenya is rising steadily, and up to yesterday we recorded 8,067. The highest daily number of cases was reported only 3 days ago on the 4th of July and was 389. Ladies and gentlemen, based on this very disturbing trend, stakeholders have shelved the initial proposal to reopen basic education learning institutions in September for Standard 8 and Form 4 candidate classes because of the following reasons. Number 1, there will be 2 Form 1 classes in 2021 academic year. The country will experience very severe equity challenges which may be constitutional in nature when only 2 basic education classes reopen and transition while all the other children lose the year. Although the 2020 Form 4 cohort will have left, the total number of candidature in Form 4 is 752,000 as compared to approximately 1.2 million in Standard 8, which would mean then that even if we had the intention of using the space left by Form 4, we would be having a deficit of in excess of 438,000. Therefore, it shall be difficult, in fact not difficult, it will be impossible to achieve social distancing. And even social distancing apart, we shall be unable to have physical classrooms for this huge number. 4, all learners in grade 1 to 4, standards 5 to 7, and Form 1 to 3 in 2020 will remain in the current classes in 2021. Therefore, there will be no KCPE examinations in 2021, in the later part of 2021, because the students in Standard 7 and Form 3, it will be practically impossible for them to cover the syllabus of 5 terms within 1 year. 6, the number of teachers required will increase because secondary schools will have a challenge of having enough teachers, especially for the optional subjects, to meet the demand of split classes. In Form 1, there are 11 compulsory subjects, which will necessitate employment of more teachers to handle the Form 1 double intake. 7, the inter-country movement of students in boarding schools will pose a severe challenge, especially for those traveling from Nairobi, Mombasa, and other counties with a high incidence of COVID-19 infection. This will contribute to the spike leading to the uncontrollability of this disease. And 8, since the infection curve is rising at the moment, as we approach September, I am advised by Mr. Mayo that over 90% of the parents have expressed very strong reservations of sending their children to school until the curve flattens. And Mr. Mayo has branches in every county and in every sub-county. And through the WhatsApp groups, he's able to collect the opinions very quickly. Ladies and gentlemen, faced with this uncertain environment, these stakeholders have resolved to reopen all basic institutions in January. This is based on the assumption that the curve will have flattened, or we shall have known a little bit much more about this virus. Nevertheless, it is important to state here that this decision is not cast in stones. As His Excellency the President says very clearly, that all children are equal and must be treated equally. Should the situation change at any stage, then this committee that is behind me will have an opportunity to look at the situation again and see whether this can be brought forward. The implications of these resolutions are that, 1, there shall be no KCPE for the year 2020. Number 2, the 2020 Standard 8 and Form 4 cohorts will sit their examinations later in the year of 2021. And number 3, the school calendar of this year will be considered lost due to COVID-19. These decisions made on institutions reopening will apply to all children, including those offering international curriculum. But I want to hasten to say that as we continue, because all children, the health of all children, there's no such child, in my mind as a doctor, there's no such child as a private child, a public child, and an international child. All children are children, once they are in the territory of the Republic of Kenya. And should a peculiar situation arise, I think the government of His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta has empowered us to continue to interrogate those situations as they arise, and of course, if there is any decision, he shall make the decision, and whether he allows us to communicate it to you again, that will be another issue. To ensure learners are engaged, the Ministry of Education will enhance remote learning, online, distance, and e-learning, and explore other innovative approaches to promote equity. Just like I have said, the President has said, he was talking of estates, but there could be a village. If you have somebody in a village and there's a teacher in the village and their children, as long as you are observing COVID, there's no reason why you can't assemble the children and teach them as long as you are observing the COVID protocol. Are we together? And the example that he made, how he teaches, he himself teaches some of the children how to dig and create a small farm. If the president can do that, who are you not to do so? Why are you sitting somewhere very high waiting and making a lot of noise? So this can be done by all the teachers and parents, but in addition to the book learning, you actually take your child through the University of Life. Teacher training colleges and TVET institutions will be allowed to reopen from September, subject to very strict adherence to COVID-19 protocols. And you may ask why. These institutions, if they have good managers, can regulate the numbers in their presence according to the courses that the people are doing. Those who are not able to regulate, again, this will be on a case-by-case basis. There are only about 140. Those who are not able to regulate shall remain closed. By regulation, I mean you may decide you are opening for 30% of your children, and you recycle, as the universities usually do. The Ministry of Education will in due course issue a comprehensive circular on reopening dates when the Kenya National Examination Council will issue revised examination timetables, which again may not be cast in stone. Reopening of the universities for face-to-face will be on a case-by-case basis based on approved compliance with the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Health COVID-19 protocols. Universities, most of them are doing so and should continue holding virtual learning and graduations for students who have successfully completed their programs and met graduation requirements set by their respective senates and councils. Universities should consider phased reopening. Actually, they must consider phased reopening because we are going to inspect. Having been a university head for 10 years, I know that they have challenges in the boarding sector, and they must convince us that they have interrogated the students and they have agreed to spread out so that they just have the requisite number who are staying in that place to attain social and physical distancing. All institutions allowed to reopen must comply with COVID-19 regulations or risk reclosure.
Both local and international. We are here today standing to just talk one language. We do have a few unique circumstances in the private schools, and we thank the CS for giving us the opportunity to continue discussing this, even as we ponder what the health professionals are taking care of us. So we hope that we can continue this discussion, especially with Kais and Madam Jane Mwangi, as we continue to prepare for the oncoming exams for the international schools. As far as the local curriculum schools are concerned, safety first. We thank KICD for ensuring the regular and the updated content that is coming through for all Kenyan children, wherever they are, in all the platforms that they have. We continue to urge schools wherever they are to keep doing what they can wherever they are, especially when it comes to special needs children and the vulnerable. Let us keep communicating to parents so that we can remind them that all the vulnerable children out there, especially our girls, are kept safe. Our children come first in this pandemic. For once, we have to bow down to the wisdom of the doctors as they tell us what to do. The opening of the county boundaries will now teach us something different from what we have been seeing in the numbers for the virus. So this is a time for us as educationists to sit back and prioritize the health of our children while we watch what happens next. For now, I know the question will come, what will we do about our teachers? Now we are prioritizing our children. We will continue discussing with the Ministry of Education and all players what can be done about the plight of the teachers in the private schools and in the BOMs.
And we are unable to do what we expect our children to do. All children are